Hi, it's Dave from Driving Venture. Welcome back to the channel. If you haven't done so already, please think about subscribing and putting the notification bell on. Today we have a monster amongst us, the G63. So welcome inside the cabin of this sumptuous cruiser, this beast of a machine, the G63. When you get in this car, you really feel like you're the king of the road. The driving position obviously is high up, and I don't know which psychologist it was that worked out that people feel safer in a car like this, and one of those ingredients is the ride height, and that's why SUVs have taken off. So we are filming today back in the Trough of Bowland, and this car is very much at home on these roads. This G63 weighs 2.5 ton, and you do feel that weight when you're driving it. I'll be honest, and I've said it before, I'm not really an SUV kind of guy. I just never really get over the line. I've said it in other videos when it comes to wanting to buy and own and drive an SUV. And one of the reasons for that, I think, and this is demonstrated when I'm driving this car, is the cornering waft. You just get wafted left and right, and even if I was to put, I'm running here in individual mode, if I go into individual mode and select the firmer suspension, or if I just put the firmer suspension on here, it does help with the cornering, but you still do get quite a bit of lead. Now you are bolstered left and right in your, in your sort of kidney areas here, with little airbags that kind of inflate quickly when you're taking the bend. So Mercedes have really thought this car through with little touches like that, perhaps to make you feel a little bit more secure. Now we're at 1 degrees centigrade today. This is 4-wheel drive. It's running just standard tyres, but I think yes, you do feel safe. You do feel very secure. You feel like you're in a car that's built to last, and it just feels cool to drive this car. It really does. The ride quality, even in the harder suspension setting, I think is pretty comfortable, and I think that's probably the way I would have this car set up if I was driving it as a daily. This car is obviously aimed at the well-heeled. You're going to get well under 20 to the gallon driving this thing. On the motorway you might do a little bit better. Asking price of 150,000, a queue to buy them. Residual values are good, but obviously getting into one is going to cost you quite a lot of money. So I think it's for a certain sector of a car buying public, which makes it a little bit exclusive. They're not easy to get hold of, and I think that's something which is, I guess, nice to know if you do have one. Now, I haven't ever driven a Range Rover. I have driven a Cayenne. I think the Cayenne will probably give you better dynamics when it comes to driving it. I've driven a Cayenne S recently, and I think the cornering and just feel of the chassis is better than this. But that verbal, ooh, just pops and goes. You've got the paddles on the steering wheel, so it's a bit of a yin and yang car. You kind of wouldn't expect to have 850 newton meters of torque, 577 horsepower, and a car that sounded like this. You just wouldn't have thought they would ever produce a car like this, to be honest. But they have. It's very enjoyable. So the G63 from Mercedes Benz, it's a car I am familiar with. This has the V8 twin turbo engine. It's slightly less powerful than my E63S, which I have as my daily driver. This is running 577 horsepower, but it still has 850 newton meters of torque. So what do I like about this car? Well, it's just so cool. It's just so raw. It's a real monster on the road. I love these rings in the front lamps. You've got the great big Mercedes Benz logo. You know, when you just see this coming up behind you in your rearview mirror, you're thinking, I think I'll just get out of the way. It's almost military-esque in the way it looks. You know, you look at how it sits on the road, you know, it's nice and high up. You know, you almost need a small ladder to get in the thing. And it just feels premium, it just feels quality, it just feels solid. And yes, it does feel quite military. Looks absolutely amazing in black, so stealthy and mean. And as I was driving it to where we're shooting the video today, in the amazing trop of Bowland, I was getting vibrations in my seat because you've got the exhaust pipes that come out at the side of the car, which is very, very different. And when you do kick down and you're on the motorway and you're accelerating, you get that V8 burble, which is really, really nice. This car's running on 22-inch rims, so they really fill the wheel arches. 295 section tyres, 40 profile, but nice and wide, nice and big. Blacked out privacy glass in the back. Just a really mean and cool wall car, if I have to say that again. This is a top gear, cool wall car, no doubt about that. This has got 1941 litres of capacity if you put the seats down, and just under 700 litres of capacity if you don't put the seats down. So you've got loads of room here. Just lift that and then it slides back. I mean, there's loads of room in here. This is really nice. We'll see more of this inside in the cabin. You know, this sort of like leather plushness that's I mean, this car is over £150,000, so it's for the Uber owner who wants to cruise at 17 miles per gallon and feel like he's the king of the road, I suppose. I really like the Mercedes logo on this spare wheel. Obviously this isn't going to be the same size as they come stock with the car. As you've seen with other YouTubers, these are being used to tow their other cars around, but you've got your tow bar there. This car will pull 750 kilograms or 3,500 kilograms if it's braked, so this has got a lot of grunt. And then you've got your AMG logo here, just in case you don't know, your G63. But looking at it from behind, you've got the tinted glass. Perhaps just one thing I will say here is you've got your AMG V8 bi-turbo. They don't make a G63S, it's just a G63, but at 577 horsepower, this thing really shifts. This is obviously a very familiar affair where I'm concerned in terms of the controls. I have exactly the same steering wheel in my E63S, although this one does have carbon fibre, so I do feel a little bit jealous. We also have the memory mode, you've got your windows operated here. It just feels so solid. You know, you just this car's gonna go the distance. Straight ahead, you've got your options for all the dials, you've got your light switch down here, you've got your heated seats, even a ventilated seat option too. Carbon fibre here in the centre console. Yeah, it's just a premium cabin. Everything looks and feels great. You've got your four-wheel drive control system in the centre console here. Really nice widescreen LCD readout. And this is very similar to my Mercedes car. So you've got your trackpad, you've got your dynamic change here, so you can have it set up individual, comfort, sport, sport plus. I mean, sport plus suspension in this, perhaps. I don't know, it still feels okay. It doesn't feel as stiff as in my E-Class, I'll be honest. But of course, it's not really designed to be driven in the same way as an E-Class 63 or maybe an RS6. This just gives you the growl and the grunt and the thrill factor when you can hear it bellowing away as you're pressing on. So you've got all those features there. I know Mercedes Benz has recently updated its infotainment system to the MBUX system, so this is perhaps just slightly dated now, but you've got your cables here, so you can plug in your devices, you can have Apple CarPlay or connect through Bluetooth, so on and so forth. Drink holder here, you've got drink holders there, you've got loads of room in here. I mean, you lose half your arm in there, it's so big. Through here you've got your glove compartment, again plenty of room in there, but of course where you're going to put your gear is in the boot, isn't it? Love these seats. I mean, you don't feel like someone's been sitting in this seat and done 42,000 miles in his car, but you know, very plush, very comfortable. And what I really like about this car is when you're driving, these lumbar supports, left and right, they inflate if you're turning left, and they inflate if you're kind of putting a bit of right to steer in the steering wheel, so it kind of like pins you in the seat. Love the embroidery and the way they've done this contouring leather. It looks really plush. You certainly feel like you're getting your money's worth with this car. So I think even as a passenger in this car, you're going to feel cool. You're probably going to feel the coolest if you're the driver, but of course if you're a passenger, you're going to think, I am being cosseted along in a G63. So it's just a super cabin. These seats are really comfortable. They feel more comfortable actually than my E63. Plenty of room. Now this seat's quite far back, but there's plenty of leg room here. We've also got, you know, your centre armrest, so you can really be chilling as you're going along. Got your seat, you got your cup holders there. I mean, I think the width of the cabin, you would certainly be able to get through in the back here on a journey and be comfortable, but of course it's more comfortable perhaps just with 4 people. Down here you've got a bit of space to put all your bits and your bobs. My girls would like that. In here you've got another charging port. Maybe I'd like to have seen another glass sunroof here, but maybe that's just the way they come. But you've got your sunroof there as well. So a very cool and plush cabin. And I'd certainly be very happy being a passenger in this car as I was being whisked along. I do wonder though, I have to be honest, how this car sits in the Mercedes Benz lineup in terms of the price, because get 154,000 quid base spec. You know, my E-Class E63 AMG was like £100,000, £102,000. So does the extra practicality and those extra litres in the back really mean that it's worth an extra 50 grand? And also you've got to take into account, it's not, from a performance perspective, it isn't as fast, so it's not the S version, it's at 577 horsepower. It's no slouch, but it's clearly, I don't know, it's a bit of a dichotomy for me there. I don't know, it's definitely aimed at someone who's got plenty of money and prepared to spend it on something which is going to take his money out of his wallet and petrol bills in a hurry. But it sounds good. You feel that vibration come through the cabin. It's just tremendous. Ooh, the growl. And you've got your pedals for the down pop. Ooh, what a confidence in the overtaking. You know, I think if you lived in America, or you had, you lived in, the UAE, or you lived somewhere where petrol was just so cheap, I think it would be less of a consideration. In the UK, obviously, £1.30 odd pence for a litre of super unleaded, it's a consideration. But again, as I said before, this car is not aimed at the cost-conscious family man. It's not. It's aimed at someone that has money and has means, that wants to sort of get to the apex level of SUV on his row of houses driveways. This is what this car is. This is what this car says to me. And I can see why they're selling very well. it's not a very inconspicuous car, is it? You know, you're going to need a bigger than average car park space to fit it in. But this is a cool car, it really is. It's definitely putting a big smile on my face. And on these kind of more sweeping bends, more gradual bends, it does come into its own. And having driven it for a little while now, I am getting a bit more comfortable with that lean in the bends, which of course I'm not sort of used to having with other cars I've driven recently. But I'm running at the moment in dynamic mode, and I've got the super firm suspension on. It just feels great, it just feels great. The brakes are tremendous, you know, you can arrest this car from speed quite easily. It's 2.5 ton, and I have to say, having driven this today, I've not driven a Range Rover. You know, would an SVR come close? I don't know. I think the quick, maybe handle well, I'm not sure, but there's one thing this car's got that I think other brands that are competing in this space haven't got, and that's, it's got the cool factor. It's got the cool factor. It's got the look factor, that military, no-nonsense, sort of hardcore look. This is a car that would be ideally suited to someone who lives in the country, wants to enjoy his commute to civilization, could attach a trailer when he's got to, can get through the ford onto the farm, can do all weather conditions, built to last. I mean, yes, this is the manic high-performance G63, the G400, the diesel version. I'm sure that's just as impressive, but you're not going to get the fanfare, you're not going to get that growl, you're not going to get the sensation. I mean, that is obviously what you're paying for with this car. Deceptively quick, this car, deceptively fast. On the sweepers, it's there. You get used to the lean. Again, for what it's doing, it's a total package. Little criticism on the price, but the sound, the feel, the coolness, this road I'm on now, it's perfect. It's where this car will probably be very much at home for an owner. Very, very enjoyable car to drive. Relaxing, powerful, does the full package. So there we have it, the G63 from Mercedes Benz. So glad to get my hands on one of these at long last. And it's been a thrilling drive today, if not a thirsty one. So thanks very much for watching today's video. If you haven't done so already, please think about subscribing to the channel, getting the notification bell on. And as always, I'll see you next time.